Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. So in today's video I am showing you how I achieved this gorgeous but very simple smoky green eye look and nude lips on my beautiful sister D. So starting off, I'm using the Layla Skin Rose Water to just moisturize and prep her face. It has already been cleansed and she applied moisturizer and a little bit of Dawa before, and I'm using a beauty blender. This specific one is from Raina Beauty, to just very gently push the rose water in to make sure that it's properly absorbed by her skin. Next up, I'm using a disposable spoolie to just gently comb her eyebrow hairs upwards in preparation to do her eyebrows. I do prefer going in with eyebrows or eyes first when I have a little more time to work with, but when I don't, I prefer to do face first. And I'm using a pair of scissors to just cut off the excess eyebrow hairs, just to make sure that even when I do her eyebrows, that there are no eyebrow hairs that fall out of the concealer area. Next up, I'm using a dry sponge and the Sacha Buttercup in the shade Light to push through her eyebrows to make sure that the eyebrow pencil that I'm going to use really shows up nicely. Sometimes what tends to happen is when you moisturize or when you have an oily T-zone, sometimes the product doesn't show. So applying a thin layer of either compact powder or setting powder usually helps to just get rid of all those oils so that your eyebrow product can show easily. And the pencil that I'm using here is a Davis pencil in number 3 or 40, I don't remember the exact one, to lightly outline the bottom and the top part of her eyebrows, and then shade in the areas that have sparse hairs, and then go in with concealer later on. And for the concealer, I'm using the Illegal Pro Conceal in the shade Fawn and Coltan. She was dozing over here. She had had such a long night. And I'm going to be using the Fawn at the beginning and the end part of her eyebrow, and the Coltan at, or rather in the middle, especially on that eyebrow arc, to make sure that it's lifted nicely and that it's the part that is highlighted the most. And I'm using this dual-ended brush from Liabella. It's really beautiful. I just made sure to flatten it nicely with a clear lash glue. I do have a video on how to do that, on how to easily do eyebrows, on my channel if you're interested. So I'm just using the side of that brush to apply the product and to make sure that it is as neat and as seamless as possible. And next up, I'm using this fluffy angled brush from Negwald on Instagram to just push in the concealer. If you do want a more sheer or natural looking concealer effect, then I'd recommend swiping the product as opposed to pushing it in. But if you do want a more opaque and more concealed effect, then I recommend pushing it in. So I'm just blending it at the beginning and the end, at the bottom and at the top. And for the top, I did use LA Girl in the shade Fawn. And now I'm prepping our eyelids for eyeshadow using the Technique Eye Canvas eyeshadow primer and using the same brush to just push that product in to her eyelid space. And I'm going to be setting right below her eyebrow area, just that place, because I don't like it looking very shiny. And I'm using the V Beauty powder palette. This one is from Shop with Talia on Instagram, and I'm using the light brown to just lightly dust on that product. And then now we're going into the Reina Beauty Maridadi palette, and I'm using this emerald green looking matte eyeshadow to just apply the product on the outer edge of her eye as well as on the crease area. And then I'm going to be coming in with a lighter green to just blend out that dark green eyeshadow that I've just applied. And I am using patting in motion. There are 3 main motions that you can use, especially when it comes to blending eyeshadow. So one of them is tapping it in. The more you tap in an eyeshadow in one particular point, especially a matte shadow, then the more it diffuses and blends in. Another one is back and forth. That basically means just taking your brush back and forth, especially in a semicircular motion. And another one is round and round in small circular motions. Those 3 are the main methods that I would recommend when it comes to easily blending out your eyeshadow. So I'm using a lighter green over here and using from the same palette and just diffusing that dark green and making sure that everything looks nice and diffused. And then I'm going in with the NK Cosmetics Fabulosity palette, and I'm using this beautiful light green eyeshadow. It's actually a shimmer shadow, and I'm applying it on the lid using a flat brush. And Zilani actually DM'd me and asked me how I got her to do color, because usually she's not a fan of color. I told her I just waited for her to sleep and then poof, I did color on her. But also she was going in with a green outfit, so I thought that instead of just a nude look and it was going to be an event at night, that a nice dark green look, especially with a little bit of glitter, would really pop. So I'm going in with this shimmer, and then I'm using a flat brush. This one is also from Bella. I really highly recommend these brushes because they're really high quality and they just glide on the product so beautifully. The next thing I'm going in with is a whitish palish glitter. I know you can't see it so clearly because we have light on here, but if I would have turned down the light, you'd have really seen how much it was glowing. And I did go in with a clear eyelash glue and applied it just so it can act as the glitter glue or glitter adhesive, because I was out of glitter glue. I did go off camera and did her liner, and I just used a dark green to just smoke out her eyeliner as opposed to just using a black eyeliner. And then I went in with a Lanelle eyelash glue. This one is also from Shop with Talia, and then this very dramatic eyelashes that I got from Du Bois. And the thing I really love about this Lanelle glue, actually was put on to it by my sister, is that it doesn't really need for you to wait for it to dry. Like, you can just apply it and then directly go in and it will stick on your lashes. So I really love that about it. So right now I'm just adjusting and making sure that everything is even. I also did go off camera and use the Maybelline Colossal Kajal mascara to just very lightly comb through her eyelashes before I applied the falsies. Next up is the OG Nivea Cream Moisturizer, and I'm applying this all over, especially on her neck, because she does like a little bit of product blended into her neck. even though she no longer has hyperpigmentation, just to make sure that the blend is seamless as it transitions from her face to her neck to her chest. So I'm just applying this with my fingers, and then I did go off camera and used Rimmel mattifying primer, and then now I'm going in with a mixture of the Divas Cosmetics foundation in Bronze 4 and the Illegal Pro Matte foundation in the shade Caramel. And when you blend that out, and especially with a sponge, it comes out really beautifully. So right now I'm starting off using a flat foundation brush and just pressing that in, and then I'm going in with a beauty blender. This is also from Rainer Beauty, and I'm going to blend that out. And what I'm spraying over here is the Illegal shimmer spray, just to bring in that shimmer and that pizzazz and that juiciness that comes with this look. I went in and applied the concealer. This is also Illegal in the shade Coltan, and I'm also applying some contour. This is Flori Roberts in the shade Java, and again I'm using the same brush that I used for her foundation to just blend out her contour. And I like sweeping it upwards in an upward motion, except when it comes to the jaw. That's when I sweep it along the jaw and also take it slightly downwards, just to make sure that it blends evenly and that you don't have just a dark line on your jawline. So I'm pushing that product into her hairline and making sure that everything is well blended before I go in to blend out my concealer. And the reason that I've put my concealer to just sit for a little bit is just so because I want to increase the opacity, just meaning I want it to become more like to increase the concealer effect of the concealer, and just to make it look more opaque and more flawless and more beautiful and more gorgeous and more all those words that you're looking for. It really helps. But especially with this method, make sure that the concealer that you're letting dry out isn't a matte concealer, because those ones you can't really leave them out to dry for too long. They'll be really hard to blend. So this one I would recommend it for hydrating concealers and concealers that don't dry out too quick. So again, I'm using my beauty blender and making sure to blend out everything in a tapping in or a dabbing in motion, as opposed to swiping, because you don't want to swipe and move all those products and all those layers that you've put underneath your skin. That's your concealer, your foundation, your primer, your moisturizer, your serum, your sunscreen, etc. So you want to push it in as opposed to swiping when it comes to this method. And now I'm going in with a very thin layer of the Sacha Buttercup in the shade Light to just push into under her eyes and each and every area that I've applied concealer, just to make sure that I set it and that it doesn't move around. The reason why we apply this underneath her eyes and especially on the smile lines is to make sure that those areas which tend to crease because of the concealer, they are sorted out and they are mattified nicely. And I'm also putting it right under her contour area just to give her that sort of lift, but I'm not using too much product because I don't want her to look overly cakey, because I did go in with a mattifying primer. And for the rest of her face where we haven't put any powder, I'm using the same the V Beauty powder palette to just set all the rest of her face, and I'm using a fluffy brush. This one is from Beauty and Beyond 254. I don't know if they still stock this, but I'm using this two colors that match her exact shade, and also dusting away the areas that I've put a little extra setting powder just to make sure that everything looks nice and seamless. I did go in with the same shade that I used for her outer eye corner to just blend out and smoke out her lower lash, and just to make sure that everything looks nice and smoky. And I'm applying the illegal kajal liner on her lower eyelid just to make sure that that smoky eye look is complete. And then I'm going in with the beauty blender just to make sure that if there's any fallout or any excess setting powder, I blend it into the skin just so she doesn't look dry. Then I went in with the illegal setting spray just to mattify everything. The reason I didn't cover her eyes is because we did use shimmer on them, but ideally if I would have used only matte, I would have covered her eyes. And finally, for the lips, I am using the Reina Beauty dark brown matte lipstick. This one is in the shade Cocoa, and the light pink is in the shade Sexy Talk or Sweet Talk, something like that. And then the PS matte lipstick, that one is from Beauty and Beyond. And I'm just lining her lips with a dark brown, and then later on I'm going to be coming in with the light pink in the middle just to give her lips that bit of dimension and to bring back the color and the rosiness to her lips. And finally, for highlights, we are using the Reina Beauty Queen highlighter palette. I thoroughly enjoy this highlighter palette. It's really pigmented and the colors are so beautiful. So I'm applying this in the inner corner part of her eyes, and I'm also going to put a little bit on the highest points of her nose and also on her cheek, just to give her that nice and beautiful glow when she turns and the light hits her face. So that is the end of this eye look, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and this tutorial, and that you really see that color can look really gorgeous. You just have to know how to blend in the colors. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe and follow for more content like this if you did enjoy. And until next time, bye guys.